So this question, after a while, came to my mind, but who is paying the price of war? Who are the war victims? So I was curious, and I started to collect data from a hospital in Kabul in Afghanistan. And I went through the record of over 12,000 patients to discover this reality that I did not expect, that 34% of the victims were children below 14 years of age, 26% male adults, non-combatants, and then women, and only 7%, in fact, of the victims were taking part to the hostilities, were combatants. This was very shocking to me, so I tried to look into the problem and see and find reasons for that. And in fact, I have discovered that a war had evolved over the previous decades, particularly if we compare the situation that was present after World War I. We could see that at the end of that war, only some 15% of the victims were were civilians. The vast majority of the victims were combatants. In other terms, the civilian population were kept sort of at the margin of the hostilities. And this situation that characterized wars until 1915, in fact, reversed with World War II. At the end of World War II, the percentage of civilian casualties was between 60 and 65%, which means the ratio reversed. How was this possible? For sure, several factors contributed to that. The most important were the Holocaust and genocide attempt, as well as the carpet bombing of major European cities during World War II, and finally, the use of the most devastating weapons of mass destruction, like the atomic bomb. At the end of that huge tragedy, which costed the lives of some 50, 60 million people, there were new hopes for a better world, hopes that the world would not have been the same again. And that's when the United Nations started. It's interesting to read today, 60 years later, the United Nations chapter, which gives the rationale for establishing the UN to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women, and of nations large and small. These were new hopes, and there were also new tools, like the UN Security Council, that was established with the primary goal of ensuring international peace and security. And again, there were new principles, a new philosophy that should have shaped the planet in the coming decades. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, signed in 1948, was one of these documents, fundamental. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care. Well, unfortunately, things did not go that way. After World War II, instead of seeing the promotion of human rights, the implementation of human rights, we have witnessed something very different. The world has seen an unprecedented arms race. Arms have been made available to everybody. Here you can see different types of weapons, rockets, machine guns, cluster bombs, these yellow cylinders with a white cotton parachute. And for sure, this arms race contributed to change further the situation. Just to give an idea of the amount of money that has been spent and is presently spent in military, in 2004, the world military expenditures summed to $1,035 billion, which is roughly the amount of money they have available to survive 2 billion people on the planet, the poorest 1/3 of the world population. And instead of promoting human rights and promoting peace and security, the United Nations Security Council, particularly the 5 permanent members, China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, United States, in fact started to produce and export and sell not human rights, but weapons. 85% of the weapons circulating in the world are produced by these countries. So this has been the end result, that in all the conflicts after 1946, the percentage of civilian casualties further increased up to 90% of the total, which means war has evolved dramatically. And if you compare these two slides, you can see that we still call and use the same term, war, to mean 2 completely different scenarios. In today's conflicts, it doesn't matter who is officially the enemy. It's the civilian population who's going to pay the price. 9 victims out of 10 are civilians, and 3 victims out of 10 are children.